Sean Diddy Combs has been denied bail and taken into custody after pleading not guilty in federal court to charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. And according to the indictment, Diddy is accused of coercing women and sex workers into what he called freak-offs or elaborate sex performances. And here to break down this indictment is Rachel Fiset, criminal defense attorney and managing partner for ZFZ Law. Rachel, good morning to you. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right, Rachel, obviously this case is kind of taking the world by storm. Everyone's kind of paying attention to this. You see it all over social media. Sean Diddy Combs pleading not guilty to federal charges that included allegations of sex trafficking. And Diddy has been denied bail after prosecutors claimed he was a serious flight risk. Now, before we get a little deeper into this indictment itself, Rachel, how unusual is it for the judge to deny someone of Diddy's wealth a fame bail?
Under these charges, which are alleging a large criminal enterprise, infinite resources, sex trafficking, and most importantly to this, coercion and obstruction, this is not an unusual ruling given those facts and what the prosecution is alleging. They are basically saying if he is out on his own or left to his own devices in any way, he will coerce witnesses, he will obstruct the investigation, and he may flee.
You know, there's a couple of things to kind of dissect with this. If convicted, Rachel, Diddy faces a potential life sentence for 3 counts of racketeering, sex trafficking by force and transportation to engage in prostitution. But I want to start with that racketeering charge, and it sticks out because prosecutors are going to need to prove Diddy sat at the top of a criminal organization. Why do you think that was included in this indictment, and how difficult is it going to be to prove that?
So this is a racketeering charge, and they are generally fairly difficult to prove. They are complicated charges that allege a widespread criminal enterprise where the illegal acts are part of that enterprise, and the purpose is for illicit and illegal purposes in many ways. So basically, they have broadly alleged these illegal acts, and the illegal acts they're alleging in broad strokes is this sex trafficking, is the prostitution. And I believe the reason they did allege it so broadly, getting basically more burden on themselves to show more as it relates to the criminal acts, is so they could get Diddy's assets. He is so rich as a result of his legitimate enterprises that this charge basically wraps up the legitimate enterprise with the illegitimate enterprise, saying it is all one illegal enterprise.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So also, Rachel, the indictment accuses Combs of a pattern of abusing women for years and specifically mentions a surveillance video of him beating his then girlfriend Cassie at an LA hotel back in March of 2016. And Diddy has since publicly apologized for that indictment, and we know that their case was settled. But for the prosecution case, does that video of Diddy and also having him already admitted to at least one abusive incident, does that help the prosecution at all?
The video helps the prosecution. Videos always help the prosecution. What jurors can see with their eyes, they don't have to imagine or see much proof of. So even though that video doesn't necessarily show the acts, many of which involve sex trafficking and drugs, it does show that Diddy was violent and that he used force, and that the big part of the prosecution's case that alleges coercion and threats of force, it's all right there in the video. So that's just going to be helpful to them in basically the atmosphere of what Diddy had the potential to do.
You know, you mentioned videos there. We were just talking about that one. There's some more I want to get into here. Law enforcement officers say they seized guns, drugs, and a huge collection of baby oil from Diddy's homes and what they're calling the freak-off supplies. The prosecution says they have spoken with over 50 victims and witnesses who allege Combs kept them silent for years using embarrassing recordings from these events. So, Rachel, I ask you, how do you see these salacious evidence being used in proving the case against Combs? And again, maybe there's some videos that they have as well.
Right. So the prosecution hasn't yet tipped its hand as to what videos it has. It did had 2 simultaneous raids on 2 of Diddy's homes several months ago, and they collected large swaths of evidence. And we would imagine that those videos are in there, and that those are slam dunks. I mean, if they are alleging kind of these depraved acts in these sexual performances that people were coerced into doing and kidnapped for the purpose of performing for Diddy, those videos really can bring the prosecution's case totally home. That, along with 50 witnesses that they are saying corroborates these facts, this sounds like a strong case from what we know now, and definitely a long trial.
All right, so that's the prosecution side of things. You're on the defense side of things. Let's say for whatever reasons you were defending Diddy here. Is there any way you can see that they would have a chance, for him, whatever best serves him if you were on that team? What are some holes that you would maybe see in this case?
As the lawyer for Diddy has already begun doing, they are arguing that these acts were consensual, that people that participated in the freak-offs, that were part of Diddy's inner circle, were there consensually. And I think that will be the defense, and that is likely one of the only defenses as it relates to the sex trafficking, which, if you don't have the sex trafficking and the other illegal acts, it really does also get rid of the racketeering charge, which threatens to shut down his entire empire. So they will have people that say they were in his orbit consensually, had sex with him consensually. They will have girlfriends. He will argue that that was all consensual. And that will really be the crux of what we're seeing on the defense side.
All right, this is only just beginning. A whole lot more to see, unravel. Criminal defense attorney Rachel Fiset, thank you so much for joining us and really elaborating on this and breaking it down. Thank you so much.
Thank you.